Most men think staying distant makes them strong, quiet, mysterious, unbothered. They tell themselves, "I'm not desperate like other guys." But here's the uncomfortable truth no one talks about. For many men, distance isn't power, it's protection. Protection from rejection, protection from embarrassment, protection from finding out the truth about how they're seen. Psychology shows that some men don't keep their distance because they're confident. They keep it because approaching would expose something fragile inside them. They watch, they imagine, they analyze, but they never act. And the mind loves that place because in distance, nothing can hurt you. No judgment, no failure. But here's the twist. What feels like control slowly turns into invisibility. Women don't see mystery, they see emotional absence. Not strength, but hesitation. And the most dangerous part, the man himself starts believing this distance is a choice, when psychologically, it's fear wearing the mask of self-respect. If you've ever told yourself, "I just don't chase women," this story might feel uncomfortably familiar. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear explains why this pattern quietly ruins attraction before it ever begins. Most people assume confidence is loud. They imagine bold gestures, bold words, bold moves. But real inner strength doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it sits in silence, in stillness, in restraint. There is a type of man, a man who keeps his distance from women, not out of arrogance, not because he is aloof, but because something deeper and more vulnerable governs his behavior. Psychologists call this pattern social avoidance, and it's not simply not approaching. It is an emotional strategy rooted in the fear of rejection, uncertainty, and vulnerability. Research in social psychology shows that humans are wired for connection, but we are also wired to protect ourselves from pain. When someone experiences early life criticism, awkward social moments, or repeated romantic disappointment, a pattern can form. Don't get close. Don't expose feelings. Stay safe. And what looks like calm confidence on the outside, the quiet, measured behavior, is often a shield placed over a core of insecurity. This is not weakness in the everyday sense. This is what psychologists call a protective coping mechanism, a way the brain minimizes emotional risk. Consider this. A man who never approaches a woman avoids the possibility of rejection. He never hears no directly. He never feels the sting of uncertainty. But in avoiding the pain, he also inadvertently avoids connection, and connection is the currency of attraction. Women, just like men, are not neurological scanners. They don't decipher subconscious intentions by instinct. They respond to behavioral cues, emotional availability, and consistent presence. When a man keeps distance, his nervous system is doing something very real. It is predicting danger. It is calculating cost. It is determining whether emotional investment equals safety or exposure. Studies in attachment theory show that when people are repeatedly unsure of emotional outcome, they default to avoidant behavior, not because they are cold, but because they are protecting a part of themselves that once got hurt. And here's the interesting part. The brain registers avoidance as self-preservation, but the social environment interprets it as unavailable or uninterested. So a woman may see calmness, but feel distance. She may feel curiosity, but sense unavailability. She may respect peace, but notice lack of approach. And human beings, especially in emotional and romantic contexts, are drawn to presence before potential. We crave someone who participates, not just observes. Silent man stands in the corner of the room of life. He sees the opportunity, he imagines the interaction, he calculates every outcome, yet he never steps into the field. This is a paradox of the mind. Awareness without action is still fear disguised as logic. Neuroscience explains this. When the brain predicts possible negative outcomes more strongly than positive ones, it uses avoidance to minimize stress. This is called risk avoidance behavior, and it is a survival mechanism, not just in relationships, but in every uncertain aspect of life. Because psychologically, the brain treats emotional rejection like physical threat. This doesn't mean the man is weak. It means his emotional memory has learned to be cautious. But here's the truth most people never voice. Distance feels safe until it becomes a barrier. When someone repeatedly keeps themselves at arm's length, people stop trying to close the gap. Not because they have no interest, but because the signal of distance is interpreted as lack of participation in the dance of connection. Attraction is not about aggression. It is not about dominance. It is about engagement, responsiveness, and emotional accessibility. A person who notices another and acts with intention sends a completely different neurological signal than someone who simply observes from a distance. Studies in evolutionary psychology reveal that humans are attracted to individuals who show consistent social cueing, warmth, eye contact, measured approach, reciprocity, because these behaviors signal emotional availability and safety. Keeping distance shuts down these cues. So when a man stays distant from women, what is the real story beneath the surface? Is it confidence? Sometimes, but more often it is a psychological defense that began long before this moment, formed from a history of social risk calculations, learned avoidance, and a brain wired to minimize emotional threat. It feels calm, it feels composed, it feels like strength. Deep inside, it is a pattern, one rooted in the mind's attempt to protect itself. And that pattern, despite appearing powerful, quietly erodes the very connection it seeks to avoid losing.
Chapter 1, we uncovered a truth most people live but never say aloud. Distance can feel like power, but often it's a psychological shield that stops connection before it even begins. Now let's go deeper. Because there's another kind of distance, a distance not born from fear, but from awareness, choice, and emotional control. This is the kind of distance that doesn't push people away, it draws the right people closer. Real emotional strength doesn't hide from connection, it participates in it with intention. Psychologists refer to this as secure attachment behavior, a way of being that balances emotional availability with healthy boundaries. This isn't passive distance, it's calm presence. Here's the difference. Men who keep distance because they are scared to engage send signals of uncertainty. But men who maintain thoughtful space because they understand themselves send signals of composed confidence. And the brain, female or male, reacts differently to these signals. When someone approaches with calm intention, two things happen neurologically. The other person's threat system stays quiet. Their reward system starts paying attention. In simple terms, when someone moves towards you with grounded presence, your brain says, "This person is safe. I can explore connection." But when someone avoids or hesitates, even subtly, the brain says, "Uncertainty. Proceed with caution." This psychological response isn't judgment, it's biology. Now, here's the shift. Distance driven by fear disconnects. Distance driven by self-awareness connects. One shuts the door, the other invites someone into a conversation, not a chase. So what does this truly look like in behavior? It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's simple. Consistent eye contact, calm, intentional communication, emotion expressed without neediness, confidence grounded in self-worth, not validation, presence without dominance. This is not desperation disguised as stoicism. This is mature emotional intelligence. And here's the remarkable psychological twist. When a man begins to interact from this place, not chasing, not avoiding, women don't feel distance, they feel invitation. They feel, this person sees me. He moves with purpose. There's here, not fear. And attraction, real attraction, doesn't grow from avoidance. It grows from comfort plus curiosity plus reciprocal engagement. Research in neuroscience echoes this. The human brain responds most strongly to predictable, controlled social signals, not unpredictable absence or over-eager pursuit. This is why a man who seems unbothered initially can suddenly become magnetic once he begins to show controlled, intentional presence. It's not about changing who you are. It's about understanding how your emotional state influences your behavior and how your behavior influences how others feel about you. Because at the core of human connection is this simple truth. People are not drawn to walls, they are drawn to bridges. Distance built from fear is a wall. Distance built from self-understanding is a bridge. And when a man learns to build bridges without losing himself, without compromising his calm, he transforms that hidden weakness into a profound kind of strength. A strength that invites connection, doesn't chase it, doesn't hide from it, and doesn't need to prove itself to earn it. Women, and humans in general, respond not to absence, but to emotionally intelligent presence. Not drama, not dominance, not withdrawal, but quiet strength expressed clearly. And this is the psychology of transformation.